I'm Johnita Turner, and I'm president of the Oklahoma City Garden Council, and that is a member of each garden club sends a representative, and our primary function is to communicate with the city about that facility. That facility was built with the blood, sweat, and tears of women, mostly, and some men in the 60s. They got together and got a garden bond issue passed for that facility. Before that, the garden clubs had no real facility. There was a little tiny building on the grounds, and they met there, but it wasn't suitable.
I think the Parks Director referred to it today
as
a shack.
I know it. Well, I wasn't going to say that.
Might still be there, but it was small.
But it was small and not, so they said the garden clubs need a place to meet, and they need a place to have shows. Almost all of us do an annual show. The Orchid Society does a show. You heard that the Bonsai Society does a show annually there, and we all invite the public, and we don't charge for that. It's our way of giving back to Oklahoma City for their assistance with putting that building together. And we want people to know about flowers, and we want people to grow, and we want people, all have classes. The Orchid Society has one a month in that building, and it's open to the public. So that's the function of the Garden Council, is to concerns with the building.
And now it's called the Will Rogers Garden Exhibition
Center.
Right.
Well,
so it's got garden and exhibition in the name of it.
So we find that it's getting more difficult and more expensive to do that. And we see other communities that are supporting their gardeners. I'm not saying every community, but there are other communities where the garden clubs don't pay anything to use the facility because it's a garden function, and it's something that helps beautify the city. So we understand that the bills have got to be paid, and we know that by ourselves we cannot support that building. So we donated or signed that building over to Oklahoma City some years ago. So Oklahoma City owns the building now.
And tell me a little bit about their plans as you understand them to renovate it, and then about the concerns that you and the other groups have regarding how the renovations are going to be done and what comes afterward.
We have begged for plans. We have asked for plans, and we've gotten little sketches, and they even sent me last Thursday a little bitty thing on my email saying this is the plan. But I couldn't tell anything except that they were taking out some of our cabinets, and we kind of knew that because they had us empty them. They gave us 3 weeks, I think, to get our stuff out of the building, and that was upsetting. We knew, and then not even that about the kitchen, and they said, oh, by the way, the kitchen has to be emptied too. So me and my little army of women did that last week, and they don't give us a plan. They don't tell us what the plan is. We get bits and pieces. They've not shown us on paper what's going on. But it finally dawned on us, they're doing this so that they can have lovely weddings there. They're not doing it for the orchid group. And can't you see they're putting in all new floors? Can't you see they're going to come up and say, ladies, you can't have your soil in the building. They would call it dirt. And can you just wait until some bride gets soil on her skirt because we have had a begonia meeting there and there's soil around it? It's a garden center. There's going to be soil around, I can guarantee it, even though we try very hard, and we all sweep up. We all sweep up as we leave. I don't think they can complain about that at all.
And the concern is that you've had to take your stuff out. And these are things that you use for your meetings and you use for your shows.
And
so
we see no place
forever.
for them to come back.
And see no place for them to come back. Okay.
They said, well, they'll take our little meeting room. Well, that's not good. We need that meeting room. And then they said, oh, well, they would put it in the front of the building. There are 2 offices, and they would put the secretary and the administrator in the same office. Can you imagine that? I mean, that's improper. And then they would use one of those for storage. It's not workable. They don't want it. They don't want where we want the storage is where it is now. It's in the back of the big room. There's a divider. Sure, it doesn't look real attractive, but it's easy for us to get the tables in and out.
Right, and that's the room. It's the big room in the
It's the
building, and
big
that's where
room.
you have the shows.
And that's the room where we have our shows, and we need to be able to pull those tables out and those chairs out easily. And let's face it, I'm one of the young ones, and I'm 74 years old. It's not easy to boss those tables around. A lot of us have no men in our association. You know, there are men in several of the groups, but we don't have a lot of men around sometimes to pull those tables and chairs around. We do that now, and they're talking about putting them all the way across the building in an office that's too small for them. You know, that's never going to work. And we could see the handwriting on the wall, and so we began to ask questions, and we had a big meeting with Mr. Cupper. There were 56 of us there. He smiled and was pleasant, you know, patted us on the head and went right on with his plan. And he's assigned somebody, Mr. Copeland, who's also been charming and delightful, and he has been more concerned with our concerns, I think. But we did not feel like this commission knew. Not one of those commissioners has ever been to one of our garden functions that I can see. None of them look familiar. I didn't even know we had a commissioner just for our area. I've got her card now, and I'm going to be her new best friend. But
So how did you feel about the reception that you got from the commission today? They seem to have some questions. They seem to have some concerns.
some of them I really felt like had some good concerns. Others, I think they just wanted us to hush. But we will be back. We will be at, you know, it's like everything else. We'll all come to all the commission meetings for a while, and then we'll disappear back into the garden center. But for a while, we're going to do what we can to see that the garden center is set up for garden functions. If they have a wedding there now and then, I really don't care. As long as it doesn't interfere with the overall garden thing. It's a garden center. It's a garden building. And that's my main concern.